thank you, Sheryl, for your willingness to kind of help me lead this discussion and be the object of discussion, your courses and what you do and all of the things. But I did just want to quickly, for maybe any of you that don't know Sheryl well, she's kind of cool. And she brought me a screaming goat, which is my favorite gift I've ever been given at the studio. It's pretty great. And so, anyways, but Cheryl's been doing this for quite some time. But I think what I love the most about what Sheryl does is not that she is just a leather artisan, but that she's spent loads and loads of time, years and years teaching kids. And I think that's a really important endeavor. I really do. I think not everybody has the desire, A, the patience, B, the just the willingness to take the time that is necessary to invest in the next generation. So I know Sheryl and her husband Tom, they've been amazing to teach our kids class every year since we've owned the Pendleton Leather Show in Pendleton. And I mean, if we could open it up to twice as many kids, I know we would fill it every year. We fill it every year. All the kids love it. They want to come back. Some people show up just for the kids class, which I think is really, really, really great. So I love that about you. And I just have loved, just since I've gotten to know you, just seeing your progress, your personal progress. She's not afraid to try things. So she just won. She just placed at the World Leather debut with a pair of boots. And you've only been building boots for how long now?
That was my fourth pair.
Yeah, okay. So, and they were really good. I was so impressed when you came by the booth to show me before you went and put them, officially entered them, and turned them in for judging. But that's been fun to see too. And she's pretty great. We love having Sheryl in the studio. She comes prepared. She's thorough with her projects and really takes the time to think about what we're going to do in the studio. And so, to that end, we released 5 courses last month with Sheryl, and they're all very much in that vein of what you do. They're very beginner level, but I think they're really, really great. They're a lot of fun. They teach lots of great foundational skills like patterning in the water bottle course. We did a really fun color course where we dyed leather in many different ways and fun ways to get a lot of really cool color. And then we also did, let me get back here, we did a tool roll, which is like such a practical project. And then also we did some wet molding, which was that's something that I think is a really cool skill. Not everybody teaches it, but it's something that you can add to your, I guess, your tool belt and then experiment with that. But now you know the foundations of how to do that. And then we also built a faux wood box. So she taught this really unique technique where she turned leather into what looks like wood. And so, with very few tools, which I think is also important, at the beginner level, you're not going to have, a whole tool bench full of your favorite Barry King tools and your favorite edgers and your favorite this and that. So what I love about your courses is they were so different from the last courses that we dropped with you. They were all about braiding and knots and that kind of stuff. And then we went to this beginner bundle, and I just think it's so foundational. So let's talk about these. I guess tell us a little bit about these, maybe some high level, I guess maybe as the instructor, some takeaways that you would like to pass along to everybody that's here.
Um, well, I mean, as an instructor, if you are going to try and teach somebody how to do a project, you're going to make it yourself. And you have to kind of think about, okay, I'm just going to go back to the club because we have a 4-H club, and this year we have 20 kids in it. It's a lot of kids to keep track of when they're trying to do something. And actually, most of these projects, except for the water bottle, we've done in the club. And
Yeah.
we didn't do the coloring this year, but this year for 3 of them, we did the tool roll, the base, and the box. So we do
Awesome.
those, as club projects. And so when I'm trying to think of projects for them and trying to come up with different ones every year, we're kind of now into the kids are most of them graduated out, and we got a bunch of young kids in now. We can start recycling projects. So I can stop trying to come up with, 14 new projects every year. But trying to think of something that's practical that they can use. Because if they can make it and use it, gets them more excited than just making something they can put on a shelf
Makes
or get frustrated with. So I always try and come up with an idea that's going to challenge them a little bit, teach them a set of skills, but something that they can use down the line. So I think if anybody's going to try and teach even adults something new, you got to kind of focus on that, trying to figure out something that's going to be practical. I mean, wallets, belts, all that kind of stuff is great, and you can use them, but you can only make so many of them. So now you got to come up with something else. And the water bottle project just came out of my need for one, because I've been walking my dog and carrying my water bottle. I'm like, I got a leash in one hand with the dog, and then I got to carry stuff else in my other hand. I'm like, I'm just going to make a holder so you get a hand free. So also kind of came out of a necessity thing. But I think even when your own projects, I always think of something I can use that I need. Not always just something make. Sometimes I do art just for art's sake because I like
right.
doing that part of it. But most of what I make is something I can use.
I think that's really great advice, especially when you're thinking about uh, who you're teaching. If you jump into that realm, whether it's like, man, all of a sudden I've got too many orders, and I'm finding out I need to hire somebody to help me out. Like I don't know, like teaching just to teach a class like Sheryl does. I mean, it that there are other takeaways from that advice, in my opinion, that could be applied to many facets of what many of us do here in the industry. Whether it's just something I'm doing as a hobby on my own. Well, maybe your grandkid comes over and you want to teach them how to do something. So, thinking of the practicality is really,
Yeah,
really,
and
it's great advice.
when you're teaching, for me, I take kind of from my perspective, I only take it and really break it down into small steps. Don't just say,
Yeah.
here's the leather, go and cut it out. I mean, it's like, let's make our pattern, let's cut it out, make sure it fits, then figure out our design we want to put on it. Sometimes they'll come up with a design, they want to make it a wallet. I'm like, okay, your design's way too big, so we need to shrink it down, or we got to make a really, really big wallet. So, um, but as you're teaching, especially with teaching kids or even adult beginners, you got to start at the beginning. They got to know what the tools are, what they, how to use them, what they're for, and then you can, kind of take it step by step. Everybody wants to jump in and just get it done, but you
Yeah.
do have to back them up and start with the fundamentals and kind of build from there.
Yeah.
So
Isn't that the truth?
some take
Everybody
some,
wants to jump into Sheridan carving, and you're like, whoa, hang
yeah,
on.
yeah, a little bit. So yeah, got a little guy who wants to make a 3D fish. I'm like, okay, we can do that. I just think to myself, I need to make another one. Haven't made one for a while. He goes, I want to make one that's 18 inches. I'm like, let's shrink that down just a little bit. Let's start small, start with the bait, and then we'll work into the fish. Um, because that's a 3D and actual fish. I mean, it's not attached to anything. So it's like a
Right.
two together. I'm like, we need to be a little bit smaller to start with.
Yeah.
And he's done leather work for a few years. He's 11. He's been in our club since he was 8, I think. So he's got some good skills, but he doesn't have skills that he needs yet for that. So we've got to work up to it a little bit. And
Right.
in each of our club meetings, we always make a project that the kids can finish within 3 hours. So we
Hmm.
keep it small. Sometimes we have to do 2 meetings because they're a little bit bigger. We did that this year with like the vase because it has to dry.
Yeah.
We need drums this year, like Native American hand drums. So
Oh,
we had to
yeah.
dry before we decorated. So there's a few times we have to take more than one meeting because stuff has to dry or whatever, or it's a little bit bigger project. But we always try and make sure they have something they can take home at the end of the day to show their parents, and it teaches
Mhm.
them a set of skills. So each project is different and
Yeah.
building skills. So for start this year, we kind of focused on stitching and coloring and
Mm.
cutting. We kind of start with that. So each project they had to do those things, and we kept adding different things with it. But those were all kind of included. So those were the main 3 focuses that we had this year with the kids.
Oh, I
Really,
love that. You know what I love about that story is that you said you've been teaching this little boy since he was 8, and now that he's 11, he thinks he can just wet mold an 18-inch fish. I love that. I love that because whatever you're doing is building confidence in these kids, and they're not afraid to be like, well, this is what I want to do. Let's make it happen. And I think that, I guess, um, you know, publishing the magazine, we get to learn about how people came into leather work and how they ended up where they are. And I think one really cool thing about the industry is that it is a kind of a little bit scary to just jump on in, but if you have the courage to do it, I think we're more resilient. Like, I think you guys are more resilient. You're not afraid to just totally mess up something because you know it's going to happen and it's part of the process, but you're just going to keep trying. And I think that is a characteristic and maybe a trait that is lacking these days in the next generation because we do get fearful of failure and putting ourselves out there. And so I think I
yeah.
that's what I heard in that little story, and I think it's awesome.
So the young man who made the backpack this year. First time he's made a backpack. Went to panel
Yeah.
class, picked out his leather, found his pattern, put out his leather. And he says, "Okay, I'm ready to put together." So then we started putting it together, and then by the way, it took us a little while. It was a little bit bigger than he thought, the bigger project.
Yeah.
And this kid I know at his age that has his own sewing machine that he bought himself. So
Wow.
yeah, and and he came over and we needed to skive all of his pieces. So
Yep.
on my MP4, he picked it up so fast. I'm like, okay. It was a little scary because some of the pieces were little straps were small. I'm like,
Yeah.
finger off.
Yeah.
But he just actually followed instructions and mastered that thing within a few minutes. I was just super impressed. So those are the kids that are fun to teach because they want
Yeah.
to do it. They're not afraid, and a lot of
Mhm.
kids aren't afraid. They'll just
Yeah.
jump in. Hey, let's try it. They don't care. Doesn't work out. They're usually pretty happy with it for the
Yeah.
most part. um, because it's something they just made themselves, and they
Right.
stuff. And I think that's the best part for me is looking at their face and going, I just made this
Yeah.
with my hands. And so that's the best part when you,
I mean, don't you do that
yeah,
with the things you make? I bet everybody on this call, after you finish a project, I mean, you're always going to find the things that you could do better, but there's still like a sense of pride or like accomplishment or like, hey, I did that. That's pretty great, you
I mean,
know?
making the boots. I mean, that, I mean, I made this my fourth pair. This is the pair that fits the best. It took
Yeah.
me 4 tries to get there, which is fine because I got a long ways to go on getting it even perfect. So, I mean, there's a lot of mistakes and still in there. So I still got a lot of learning to do on that. But I think the whole way that we grow is by making those mistakes and learning from them. And it's like, okay, now remember, I'm not supposed to do that. Get your measurement right. Don't do what you did before.
Yep.
And they learn the same thing because they're like, okay, well, we tried that. That didn't work. So let's recut that part. Let's remeasure it again and see if we can do it right this time, or make sure it's straight because kids cannot cut straight.
I don't know that I can cut straight either on leather.
That's
Woo.
the word. So I totally get it. And I think it's because I've made a lot of those mistakes as I've been doing it, and I didn't do it as a kid. Um,
Yeah.
I can pass that on. It's like, oh, they want to do this. Like, oh, let's think about that for a sec. Because if we
Right.
do this, this is probably what's going to happen. But if we switch and we do it this way, we're probably going to have a better outcome. So we have that experience that we can guide them so they don't have to make as many mistakes, even though sometimes we keep talking, they're insisting on doing it their way. So we just let them, like,
Yeah.
okay, how'd that work for you? And then,
Yeah.
okay, so what should have happened here? So, I should have. So, I mean, they learn that. I mean,
Right.
I had thought to learn that lesson myself because sometimes I'm going to do it my way anyway. And it's like, oh, didn't turn out so good. So,
Why did I
this
do
one, and
that?
reset the whole thing, which I learned. I mean, our kids were always, they're trying to do, something the first time correctly. When
Right.
I would do a sample project for them, I might make it 2 or 3 times before I get it right, before I turn it over to them. So
Right.
it's in that learning part that I just had, so I know what to tell them not to do.
Right.
When they're doing Sheridan projects or projects for fair, they're trying to do it, right the first time. Where if it was me, I do it 2 or 3 times before I get it right.
Yeah.
So, that's a little harder lesson for them to learn as they get older and they're on their own. That, hey, I just screwed this up, so now what? It's like, get your leather out, get your patterns out, start all over again.
Yeah. Right.
So that's
Oh,
we have a lot of our kids are still doing leather work, um, which is really cool. Not that they're into their 20s and 30s.
that that says a lot about you and what you guys instilled in them. That they that's like a that if they keep turning to leather work, it must make them feel good. It must be a happy place for them, and a place where they build confidence and where they feel um, at peace. I know that, and I'm sure you guys feel the same way. But I know many people uh, get into leather work or any type of traditional art or art, some sort of that, just because it's healing and it's meditative and it's just so different from the world we live in right now. It demands focus and attention and stillness and quiet in order for you to be able to do what you need to do. And I think that's something that is really valued these days. So
Yeah,
I think that's really cool that your kids are still wanting to do this.
Yeah, and they're pretty amazing. I mean, kids are fun. They can be challenging.
Can.
Sorry, Tom's laughing when I said that. Um, they can be, but overall, I mean, they're all good kids and they want to try hard. Some are come by it easier than others, so we have to adjust how we teach for each one. We have like ages who give him the structure, he's going to run with it and go. There's others you got to sit there with them and talk them through every single step because they don't have the confidence yet to do it on their own. So
Sure.
after a few years, about half of our club this year are brand new, and the others are only been in it for a couple of years. So so the ones who've been in there for a few years have a little bit more confidence. If you say, "Hey, I want you to take this, go get it traced and get it cut with your silver knife," they could take it and do this. The new guys, they're going, "You want me to do what?"
Yeah,
So
what does that even mean?
pattern on every stylist, let's trace it out and let's use silver knife. So you have to talk them through more of the steps, but it doesn't take that long for them to get the confidence that, okay, I know what she wants me to do. It takes a couple of years, but when they've been in there for 3 or 4 years, you can just give them an instruction and they'll run with it. And
Yeah.
that's really cool. And I think it's a good life lesson for all of us, though. I mean, it's like try. If you fail,
Yeah.
it's like, keep going.
Yeah.
You don't want to screw it up. It's not the end of the world. You
Yeah.
double cut that line. Got one little guy who gets off on his line, keeps going back and trying to fix it. I'm like, stop. You cannot fix it. You cannot erase that line. All you do is make it worse. So leave it. We'll work with it. Nobody's,
Yeah.
it's a flower. You're not going to know this off the line a little bit. Um,
Yeah.
so trying to get him to stop going back and double cutting and just shredding it is been a challenge. A little
I
bit.
bet.
Getting it, getting it. But
I bet.
yeah, there's a lot. Leathercraft has a lot of life lessons in it, and I think that's what I like about it, and being able to pass it on to the next generation or two. We're into our second generation of kids this year. We had one little guy who came in as a clover bud, and his mom was in our one of the founding members of our club, or in the early years of our club. So
Oh,
we've been with Love. We're in the second generation now, which is totally mind blowing. That they keep getting older. I haven't got these. I'm still the same. Um,
exactly. That's so cool.
yeah. So I mean, it's out there. I mean, it's becomes a part of you. Another
Right?
community, um, all the good stuff that it does for your brain. It said it
Hmm.
is creative, is very focused. You can let the world and the craziness go. Because before I retired and I come home, it's like that day is like I need to go pound some leather. So I just
Yeah.
enter my room, get some leather out, and just and not been making anything, but I'm just cutting stuff up and counting up designs on it because I just needed to get that refocus, get rid of the world, get back into some kind of normalcy, and just kind of relieve some stress. So rating is very, very meditative for me. If you just really get into your zone, get into it. Knots can make you a little bit crazy sometimes, but the braiding part itself, um, quite relaxing. And I hear a lot of kids say that when I have a couple who want to braid and they really like just getting into it, put some music on or whatever, and they can just braid away. So it's a good calming effect on some folks. You can
Yeah.
also blood pressure a little bit when you're screwing up, but yeah,
I mean, driving can do that too. So,
but it's good distraction. A good distraction.
right.
So
I
I had a
agree.
quick question here, Cheryl, on I guess age appropriate. I've got an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old, and my leather projects have been dad screaming at the kids to stay away from the stuff and dad making it, and then I'll let him hand stitch it or something. So do you have any like a quick like I almost think I wish Rachel was here so we could have like the little diagram of, don't hand the head knife to the 3-year-old or, whatever.
Well, funny you mentioned knives. because we have 3 of our kids are clover buds, so they are clover buds in 4-H are from 5 to 8. When we started the club, they were 6. They're all turned 7 now. And we do have them cut their own leather with adult supervision. So we teach them knife safety, and we make sure that a parent who's with them, for kids that little, we require a parent to be there with them because we do use knives and things. The older kids, we don't really require the parent to be there. Some of them like to hang out because they like to see what the kids are doing, which is great. But we talk them through it. It's like, okay, so here's a knife. This is, we use a little
Like the X-Acto.
X-Acto
Yeah.
thing where you can blades. And we have small ones for little hands, but we'll hold leather, we'll hold the ruler, whatever it is, and then guide them through it and have them cut it. They may not be able to get all the way through it, but they kind of start learning how to use that knife properly. So don't be afraid of your kids with a knife.
Right.
Just supervise them. And if you need to, say, whoo, back up, stop. And I've stopped a lot of kids. I'm like, what are you doing? Okay, you need to back up a little bit. I think Rachel heard you. But let them have fun with it. I mean, when my grandkids used to come over when they were little, they're all grown up now. We used to go, they want to say, Grandma, I want to go bake stuff. So we went in and we made stuff. Turn them loose with a mallet and some, stamping tools and let them make coasters or whatever. This is what they're making stuff. We used to make Christmas ornaments. So they got to make Christmas ornaments for their family. So they had several family members, so they made 4 or 5 of them. Were they great? No, but they were great for them when they were 6 years old. But your kids, Derek, are the perfect age to start doing leathercraft.
Well, if I can just get them away from the Minecraft, then
It says off.
Well, but it also requires the me having the sitting down and doing it with them too.
Yeah, you have to find the time, because teaching kids, it takes a little longer than if you're going to show adults how to do something, because you can explain it in adult version, and kids you can explain it, but you also have to show them, and then you have to be there and correcting their position and stuff like that. So
well, your own kids require yet another layer of, at least mine, of convincing them that do what I'm telling you to do.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's not, they don't always do what you tell them. And as I said, we always tell the kids at the year, when you're doing something we don't want you to do, or we're suggesting you do something different, and we're saying it several times, and you're still not listening, we're going to stop talking.
Yeah.
You're going to mess it up, and then you're going to come and say, how do I fix it? And I can tell you, listen to what I told you, and it did not have fun. So, but they don't listen. They don't listen. They're going to do their own.
Well, I'm sure there's many parents who appreciate what you have done. I remember coming and doing some video in your classes, and for me, that's probably what hell will look like, is a room full of children banging on things.
It does get very chaotic, especially like the Pendleton class. It gets chaotic because they're all controlled for a short amount of time, and then they all kind of get into different places of being finished. And then all hell breaks loose, and we're like, okay, where are you?
I will say it was very organized chaos. I mean, it's just not for me.
Not for everybody, but I think it's fun. Right for during the year when we're teaching the kids, every meeting they're all doing the same thing, so it's really easy for us. And that we have 3 leaders, so it's not just Tom and I. We have one other gal. So if all the kids are doing the same thing, it's easier for us to keep track of them and then advance them individually. Right now, they're all working on individual projects for fair. So we got 20 kids doing 20 totally different things.
Yeah.
And so we have to kind of divide us up so that they're only going to one person, because, and we learned this the hard way over the years, that if they come to me and ask me a question about what they should do, I tell them, they take it to Tom, and he said, did I do this right? He goes, well, no, you should have done it this way. Or they end up taking it to Hannah. She goes, no, I probably would have done it this way. So we kind of make a rule that whoever is starting you with that project follows you through the project. Don't go to the next guy. We'll all get you there to the same place. You'll get it done. We're going to take different paths. And if you're asking people 3 different ways, you're going to go nuts. And then I'm going to go crazy because I told you one way, you went and asked Hannah, and she told you to do a different way, and I didn't want you doing that way. I want you to do it my way. So we always make the rule, 1 project, 1 leader. And it doesn't always work that way. And sometimes we have to switch leaders because I'm like, oh, I don't know this next step, whatever it is you're doing. So I'm going to have Tom help you. So
do you guys coordinate with other clubs? And,
we are the only club in our county, and we are the biggest leathercraft club in the state. So I've offered other counties to do workshops and things like that, but nobody's ever taken me up on it. So there's not very many counties actually have true leathercraft leaders, and official clubs. They just do leathercraft as part of their other clubs or individually. So no, I would love to do that if we could, but there just isn't enough of them out there.
I was just curious. That was the problem we ran into in Vegas when I was asking you about the club. I had a hard time tracking down anybody who did any of that. So, that's interesting.
Yeah, no,
I like your 1 instructor rule, though. That makes sense. I mean, how many times has anybody on this call maybe gotten into a project? I don't know what it is, and you've called up your buddy who is, a professional. I don't know. Let's just say saddle maker, because I know we've got some of those on the call. And this person tells you one thing, but this person tells you another thing, because you make a great point. Like, there are a variety of ways to get to the same end result. And there are very few things, I would say, that are just that require one way to do it, and to be the right way, maybe the right way to do it. There are multiple different ways to do it and to do it well. And so that's a really good point. So maybe next time, do yourself a favor and only call 1 friend. So that's.
I kind of learned that lesson making the boots. So I went to the Shores Custom Boots School or boot camp, and I learned their method. And then I got some books, and I watched Ty Skyver's video, and I to make a pair of boots. And I'm like, I like how this guy did this. I remember how I learned it, but I kind of like these other little things, how they did it. So I tried to combine them. Did not work.
Yeah.
Bad idea. Because even though I got the puts put together, they weren't right.
Yeah.
I was mixing 3 different methods. I needed to stick to one. It didn't matter which one I used. I would have got the pair of boots, but I needed to stick with that process rather than trying to mix them and kind of piece it together. It didn't work. So I learned that lesson the hard way on myself. So
I think that's a great insight. I really do. I think that's really good.
It's good to learn from other people. I mean, I still take classes. I always pick up little bits and pieces along the way. It may be something I know how to do, but it's a different instructor. And they have 1 little pearl of wisdom that's going to make my life easier. So people like, why do you keep taking classes? You don't need to. I'm like, well, because I learn from them. And I think you should learn from other people rather than just your own self or sticking with just one person all the time, because there's a lot of great leather workers out there, They have really good insights, and they have these little tricks and hints and stuff that have made them really good. So if you can pull a few of those out each time, then that makes you better.
Amen. I mean, that very thing, what you just said was a lot of the inspiration for the learning platform, really. I mean, it was like, hey, where can I learn? Who can I learn from? And we're like, well, we don't just want to bring in, because we have plenty of people in at Burns at our family company that we could throw in and just stick with them. And they're great. They have great skills, but they don't have all the skills. And it is so good to get different perspectives because, to my earlier point and yours, there's not one right way to do things. And continual learning is what it's all about. Man, my mother-in-law always says if you're green, you're growing, and if you're ripe, you're rotting. And that really goes back to that never-ending learning and being willing to see things differently and getting better. I guess just constant never-ending improvement. So I love that.
And looking at things from a different perspective. Because
Yeah,
do something and, oh, I know how to do this, and then like, well, maybe if we did this, it'd be a little bit better. So
yeah,
yeah.
I agree. I agree.
And Misty, I'm gonna pop in on that too, just because like I took leather in college, and then I worked at Burns. Now I'm at Circle Y, but Dawn's 10 minutes up the road from me, so I'm popping into Dawn's shop. Hey, I want to pick a brain on stuff too. So it's even different areas, because in Texas there's going to be like a Texas way or Texas Southern style, but you go out west, you go up north, you're going to learn different things of 50 million ways to skin a cat. You're going to get a skinned cat, but you're going to learn different things. But like Sheryl was saying, you could incorporate. Sometimes it's going to be like, oh, I should have mixed all these styles. Or it's like, oh, hey, these two actually go well together that I never would have thought of.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Because sometimes you can put two different styles together and create something really cool. And I think when you get into like the floral carvings, everybody kind of starts with, the basic Tandy style, and then they start
Mhm.
Sheridan style, and then the Southwestern or whatever. I mean, there's a ton of them out there now. But the key is to kind of grab something from each of those and create your own style. And you
Yeah.
don't do that unless you learn all the other styles, or at least try them and say, oh, I liked how they did their page shading on this style, or I like the beveling on this. We really like the swirls on this. And then put those in together into your own style. But you still have to learn all those different ones in order to find those little bits and pieces that fit into your puzzle.
Agreed. Isn't it great that we are a part of a community that is so willing now? It's not always been that way, or so I've heard. I'd never experienced that, but I know that it existed. But isn't it great that we are willing to share and that we want our friends and maybe even our competitors to succeed? You know, I think it's a really lovely attribute about leather workers. I really do. I think it's pretty cool. And and I'm not saying that it's unique to our industry, but I do feel like um, it is genuine in our industry. I think sometimes you get into other industries and they're willing to share, but it's like, oh, I don't really want to do it. It's like an unwillingness to share.
Or it's going to
So
cost money if you want to know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
right.
and when we just got back from Sheridan, and there's so many people there, you just sit and talk to them and ask them questions about how they do something. They're going to tell you. I mean, they're
Yeah.
not holding back. I mean, had one lady, is her first time entering the rating category,
Oh,
and
yeah.
she knew my name, and so she kind of tracked me down and said, "Hey, if you get a time this week, can we talk about my project and let me know how I might do things better?" And I just never caught up with her again until one night we were there, and she just happened to be in the debut at the same time, so we started talking about it, and so I gave her some hints and tricks and stuff like that. And I mean, she's the one who placed first. So I'm like, you got first place. I'm not really sure how much I can tell you. A couple of insights just for future.
Yeah.
I keep in mind when you're cutting new strings and stuff like that, things to look for. But I'm like, you did great. It's a beautiful project. So just talk to her a little bit. But that was her, that wasn't her first braiding project, but that was the first time she entered. And she just wanted to say how they do better. And I told her, I mean, she beat me. She probably beat me again. But
Yeah.
that's okay. Because
But isn't that cool that she was like, okay, but I know that you've got years of experience and I'm still going to ask you. That's great. There's a humility there, right?
Yeah, it was fine. I mean, I just told her what I thought on a couple of things that she could improve on. And she's like, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And she's very appreciative of it because she wants to get better. And
Yeah.
so if I can tell her something that's going to help her get better, I'm good. It's all good.
I love it. I love that. I really, really do. So I want to open it up to everybody that's here. And because we have been spending the most of the time talking about how great Cheryl is and what her and Tom do with the kids, and I think it's just remarkable. But I do want to give some time to anybody that has any questions for Cheryl. If you've been able to dive into any of her courses, she's got 7 courses on the platform. We mentioned her first courses were her braiding courses, and they're really, really great. She goes through all sorts of different things that we can do, and different techniques and knots, and then also, some projects that come out of that. And then also this new bundle where it's those beginner courses. But I don't want to commandeer the whole time, just because I could talk about this forever, because I think it's just really, really wonderful. So I'm going to open it up to anybody that might have a question for Cheryl. Go ahead. And thank you, Sierra, for your comment. Did want to say that. I think spot on, spot on. I think even learning, because you've been able to be in many different regions of the country, and there is a difference in the artistry in different regions of the country, which is really cool. Really, really cool. So thanks for sharing that.
Europe, they have a whole different.
Totally different.
Holy cow. I mean, they're on a whole different planet when it comes to leathercraft and some of those guys. I don't know, something in the water. I don't know. So, yeah, I mean, so no matter where you go, you're going to find a different aspect of leathercraft, and one's not better than the other. They're just different.
I agree. You know what? I agree. I think that's the really cool thing, is that it is an art. It is an art form. And there are a million different ways to manipulate. I think leather's the coolest material. I'm blown away by what people can do with leather and how they can mold it and emboss it and manipulate it. I know there were a few entries at the leather debut, and I'm like, there's no way that's leather. And I was able to talk with a few of those artisans, and I'm like, that's leather? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, how? It looks like smoke. What did you do? I'm like, I don't even comprehend how you came up with whatever you did to make it look like that. But that's incredible, you know?
Yeah, I always tell the kids, if you can think of it, we can probably figure out how to make it. I've gotten in trouble a couple times, but
right. That doesn't mean we're going to get it right the first time.
No, and
But
we're going to learn it together.
exactly.
kids, even, no, not just kids, but adults too, they have great imaginations. And they said, I can't even remember everything that we've made over the years, but a couple of the more unique ones, we made ukuleles.
Oh, cool.
They weren't playable, they were just on the wall, but they were cool. I mean, I've done some stupid, crazy things on my own, but we can figure it out. I mean, I have not said no. Okay, well, I did this year. Because one of our guys wants to make a baseball mitt.
Yeah.
Okay, you need to learn a whole lot more skills first before you even tackle that. And I have no clue where to start.
Yeah.
That's
That's a completely different animal, right?
the padding and the stuff and the webbing, and some of it's stitched, some of it's laced. I'm like, I didn't play baseball, so I don't even know where to start on this stuff. So let's put that off for a few more years.
That's right. You're going to deconstruct it.
Yeah. And so we're going to have to find a pattern. We got to figure out what you pad it with. Figure out how to sew it together. I mean, it's like, I'm not ready to tackle that right now. So let's just go yet. But sometimes I'll usually don't say no. I'll say maybe later. A lot of them want to make shoes. Like, as soon as your feet stop growing, we'll be happy to make shoes. Because we tried making slippers one time. We
Yeah.
got some a good deal on some sheepskin. So like
Yeah.
by the time we got them done, they were outgrown them. It took us like a month or so to get them made.
Yeah.
They're growing so fast at this age that they forgot to wear them.
Oh, that's a bummer.
And trying to get through fair. So it's like, time to make them, by the time they get to wear them, it's like 4-month time span. They outgrow them. So
Yeah.
if they want to make them, we can, but not until they feel something. Or we can make flip-flops or Birkenstocks because those are quick.
Right.
A few hours, as opposed to having to take a month to kind of get them done and stitched. So it varies, but usually haven't really said no to anybody except for a 10-year-old who wanted to make a saddle his first year, and I said no.
Well, that's ambitious. I love that.
Yeah.
I love his confidence and his and
before he dropped out. So
that's too good.
You have to kind of. I love the kids' imaginations because it's always challenging for me because now I've got to come up to figure out how to make this thing.
Right.
So constantly challenging me to stay up on my skills. And a lot of times, depending on what they want to make, I will either make it along with them or I'll make what I'm staying one step ahead of them so I can give them the next instruction. So we've done it both ways. It kind of varies depending on what else is going on at that point in time. So
that's fun though. I think that's fun. You just get to do so many different things because of what you really focus on, and that's really cool. Not everybody gets that opportunity. Yeah.
It'll get boring after a while. I mean, everybody needs to make one as a beginner, even as adult or kid beginner, because you need to know how to make them because a lot of people want them.
Yeah.
But after that, sky's the limit. I mean, don't get stuck into just these type of things because if you can think of it, we'll figure out how to make it.
Yeah. I love that.
Keeps me challenged for sure.
Well, okay. I think on that note, unless somebody else has any question or anything to add, I think that's a beautiful place to end. Sky's the limit. Don't get stuck. And if you can think of it, we can figure out how to make it. I think that's a good mantra for all of us to have, regardless of what we do in the industry. Don't be afraid to try those things that are floating around in your head. It's okay. Go for it. It's awesome.
How we get, ghost ships. I mean, come on.
I mean, exactly.
I mean, but that's like, huh, I like that. Let's see if we can make it. You can figure it out. It may take you a long time to get it figured out, but challenge yourself a little bit. Step out of your comfort zone and give it a shot. See what happens.
Oh, love it. Love it. Love it. Well, thank you so much, Sheryl. I always enjoy catching up with you, and I um, am super excited about these courses. I will say, we have a school program, and we've dropped these 5 beginner courses in that program, and I'm excited for next year because they'll be in, they're out. Most people are out of school at this point, but I'm excited to see how some of these kids grasp onto these really great courses. You're kind of like expert level at creating variety and things that teach foundational skills and that are fun and, like you said in the beginning, practical and useful. So thank you so much for your willingness to share your experiences and insight. I think there were lots of really great nuggets that are applicable to every single person that was able to be here. So I appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, everybody. I know Derek's going to say, hang on for next month. So I'll turn the time over to Derek.
So Aaron's going to talk to us about his bookbinding class that just came out this month, next month. So, it kind of plays well into this learning different things, even going outside of, because the class is taught as advanced bookbinding for beginners, because it's how to do bookbinding like a leather worker. So it's a cool class if you get a chance to check that out, and we'll be talking about that one next month. So that will be June 24th.
Love it. Love it. We love this. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here. We appreciate you showing up and contributing to the conversation and even just listening in. I hope you find value in these. We love to get together and always are looking for opportunities to gather and chat and learn from each other. So thanks again, Sheryl. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
You guys.
Okay, good night, everyone.